I'm back, baby. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny. It says it right down there at the bottom of the screen. It is such a relief to be back. I'm here in my new studio. Look at it. Look at it. Have a little look. Isn't it fantastic? I absolutely love being here. Man, it feels like a lifetime since I've been here. Doing stuff with you guys online. It's been a bit of a journey over the last few weeks. So why haven't I been online? Well, first of all, my housemate of 13 years moved out just at the end of last month, and with him went to the internet because he was the person in charge of dealing with all of that. We shared a lot of responsibilities in this house, and he took the internet with him. And I had to reorganize all of that, and that is not apparently a quick task. That is something that takes some time, and I suppose even if we'd thought ahead to try and have two running side by side, they won't allow that, so we couldn't have done it. So we had to wait at least, it was about 2.5 weeks just to get that sorted out. In that time, my partner and I are the only people, obviously with the cat, left behind. So we had to move everything around. We've now spread out into the whole house. The house is ours now. So we're not sharing it with two other people, my old housemate and his partner. So my old studio is now like an office, spare room for guests, just loads of free space, which is really nice to have. And it meant that I moved up here into the attic of the house, which has the same decor, obviously. But it means I'm up here permanently. So this is my man cave. I'm 40 years old. I have dreamt of having a man cave all my life, since I've been into the hobbies that I do. And it's really nice to be in here. It's still a lot of work to do in here. And I kind of pushed this together as quick as I could to get today's show up and running, because it has been 3-4 weeks now since I ran a show, and I didn't want to fall off that bike. I didn't want it to become just another week. So everything was very rushed, so I apologise for getting the schedule out late, which only went out earlier on today. It wasn't necessarily deliberate, but I knew it was going to be late. Hey, we're here, right? There's a lot of things here. The lighting's probably poor. Right? You see one of my blue bowls, which I famously had in the background. There's a green one down there, which you can't really see, and I don't have my on-air symbols and stuff like that. So there's a lot of work to do. It's also just out of frame, quite untidy. It's a lot better than it was, because you couldn't stand where the table is right now. And if you've been on the Easy 8 Facebook page, because if you have a look down here, we're on Facebook as well. I've been keeping fairly regular updates as to how this is going, and putting the desk in here. Oh god, man, that was a fiasco. But it's in here. It's a permanent thing now, and it's so much space. There's a little bit of wobble. If I do this, watch the camera. Really sorry about that. That's just the way it is. I've tried to position the laptop in various places. I use an integrated webcam for this frame here, and that's just how it's gonna be until I get mega millions to have lots of different webcams all set up. So I will try to avoid spamming the earthquake button, but if it does happen, apologies. I'm just trying to get used to it all a little bit, and things will move around. What I am really happy with is the space that's on the desk, because it used to be just a piece of old chipboard, which is right there at the moment, kind of spread lengthways over the backs of two chairs, which are now in a dining room, which we never used to have, so that's epic. I've got a set of drawers down here, and I can only build up from here. It's really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to getting stuck back into some stuff. Anyway, if you're new here, Easy 8 isn't a tutorial channel, though maybe one day it will be. Mysterious pause in the music. It's just a painting club. So people kind of come on here, they join in live, or maybe they watch back retrospectively a little bit later on, which a lot of people do, just to kind of have a little bit of company, just a little bit of live company to kind of paint along with. I've got very little done this year, so New Year's resolutions, which we'll talk about next week. And about next week, we'll talk about that later. But one of the things I want to do is just kind of make promises to myself to just do more. And with permanent space, maybe that'll open up for me a little bit. I feel very positive about it. Keston's joined us live, viewers. Hi, all. Hi, Kes. I'm so surprised to see you on a Friday evening, but I suppose it is Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. I didn't expect anyone to be online watching me live today, just because, well, it's Christmas for a start, and the fact that I just had everything out late. So thanks for coming along. I can see there's a couple of viewers, not just Keth there, there's a couple of viewers watching, so thanks for coming along, guys. Spread the word, spread the joy, spread the love of Easy 8 Online Painting Club. So yeah, there's obviously loads for me to talk about, and I'm just trying to find my listing. Here we go. There's loads to talk about, and I just kind of want to crack on, because I have done nothing painting wise since we last got together, and in fact the Panther that I've been painting, the 1/35th scale Panther, is still yet to be finished, and I'm really keen to get it done, as I always am. It's a bit of a dusting because it's been a lot of stuff been moved around. It's just picked up a lot of dust. Excuse me, that's my dinner coming back up. I've had it for over a year now and it's still not done, and that's getting me down. So today I'm just going to get on with it. There's a couple of pieces that I've knocked off of it. One I was never able to find, but I've got a solution for that. And the other one was like a little tool clip on the side, which I knocked off right at the end of last week's show. The last show I did. Yonks back. And when I was moving all the rooms, I picked it up. I was like, oh, to not lose that, I'll chuck it in that box. Cannot find it anywhere. That was a stupid move. I've got a couple of boxes down here filled with paints and things, and I'm fairly certain, though I've been through them, fairly certain I just went, oh, I'll put it in there because I'm clever like that. So that's a bit concerning. Anyway, got a little bit of decal work to do, a little bit of patchwork to do. It's biting me, this tank. It's really biting me. Anyway, I'd love to know what it is that you're painting this evening. So if you are here for a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of motivation, then let us know. Let us know over there in the live chat. Can I have a little chat with Kess over there? Kess, if you're talking away to me, mate, the computer is now much closer to me. So even though I still might be like this, it's much easier for me to read. One thing I am going to say, and you may have picked up on this already, is I'm really sorry about the noise of this chair. It is one of those problems that I've had to leave till a little bit later on because, you know, it's Christmas. I spent a lot of money on getting everything up here and buying this new desk and things, and the chair is my old office chair from my old gaming chair. It's a really crappy one, but if I move it, it's really comfy, but if I'm moving it, and I know that's going to be picked up. Does it get picked up on the microphone? Let me watch the equalizer. Yeah, I haven't got the suppressor, getting rid of that sound. So that's going to be in the background all the way, maybe even for a couple of weeks. So my apologies. I am looking at getting a really nice gaming chair with the extendable leg rest. Yeah, that's going to be cool, just because, you know, I've got the cave now. Why not, right? Anyway, let's quickly. Oh, but yeah. I forget, how does it go again, this show? If you like what we do here, if you're new, if you're old, if you've been here since the beginning, or if this is your first time in, follow us not just here on YouTube, but on Instagram, on Facebook, and also on Discord, on the Easy 8 After Party, where I'll be for just a short while at the end of the show, because it's Christmas Eve, man. But Discord's going all the time. If anyone's been on Discord over the last few weeks, I've been hanging around on there, just because when I've had the internet, obs. But yeah, I even have it on my phone, so sometimes I'm just watching the stuff that goes up there. Luke, who made Discord, has been putting up like tips and tricks and videos and things like that. So thanks, Luke. Thanks for putting everything up there and keeping it going and making sure that Easy 8 at least has some sort of input on a weekly basis. So there's loads of stuff to go and see over at Discord. And if you like what we do here, drop us a like. Maybe consider following or sending any of the platforms that we work on here. And most importantly, share and subscribe, because that really helps me out a bunch. And I would really appreciate it. It'd be a great Christmas present. Thanks. So let's take you over to the workbench and have a little look at my setup here. Now, I think the camera's a little bit on the close side, so I want to apologise for that. I can move it around. Normally it's because I'm zoomed in. That's as far out as it's going to be zoomed in. Like I say, I've still got to kind of work out a few tweaks, so, but hopefully that's kind of cool. I'll bring my lights in a little bit more. There we go. This one's a little bit dull. Maybe I can pump this light up a little bit. Pump. There we go. Cool. I'm just going to enlarge my screen so I can see what we're doing. I can't remember how this goes at all. Yeah, so needs a bit of a dusting. So that's one of the first things I'm going to do in just a second. What I've got to do, of course, is put the decal back on this side of the turret, which if you look, you can just about see where the old one was. Oh, what a scar. It's a shame. And unfortunately, this one went on really well. Well, I've got to take it off. I've got to cover it anyway. So yeah, I've got to spray back over top of that one because I only have a couple of others. Here we go, numbers. So there's the other 301 which will go on the back. Now I could just leave it off that side and just put 301 on the back, but I think I need to cover that scarring with something, so it's going to have to be with a decal. Do you know? So I don't know whether to go 302 or 413. Kez, what do you think? 302, 413. I'd like to go 302 because it's obviously one away from 301 and it seems like the obvious choice, but the colour of the red is very close to the colour of the camouflage red, and I wonder if it would be lost. They are outlined with a white, so maybe they'd be really good. I don't know. I'm thinking 302. What do you think? Also, the 2 is separate, so when it goes on the back of the turret, here on the escape hatch, it's going to be easier to put 402. Sorry, 30 and 2, and I won't have to go over any of this awkward decal stuff, any of the awkward details for the decal thing here. Yeah, tough one. Don't know what to do. Let me know. Ha, 302 says Kids. Cheers. All right. Do you know what? 302 it is. But I've got to obviously give it a clean up, and I've got to cover this one over here, and I've got to get all my paints out. So let's take this one off here. Just going to crank my volume down a little bit. Let me know if that volume of that music is a little too high. I just cranked everything just at the last minute to get the show up and going. So, I love the fact that everything's all permanently in place. It's just fantastic to have. If you ever get the opportunity to have a man cave, I say man cave, it could be just a hobby space that you've always wanted. Just do it. Just take that step. Just go and do it, because it's just giving me so much joy having all this freedom. I don't know where anything is in this place. Right, I think down here in this drawer. No? Okay. Aha, here we are. German camouflage colours. German camouflage. So I'm gonna need, irritatingly, I'm gonna need a bit of the yellow from the Dunkelgelb set as well. A little bit of green to go over here. Mostly red. So let's start with the red, and I'm gonna just push on there, I think. Let's just get this going. So I'm gonna get the paints out quickly. What I'm doing, I'm gonna have a glass of wine. Merry Christmas. Cheers. Oh, Kess goes on to say, I guess you could not find 301 online. No, mate, I looked everywhere. I even looked on the Tamiya website to see if I could order replacements for it. Incidentally, there was someone on eBay who was selling a transfer set for a Panther in the same scale by Tamiya, but it was one of the different variants, so the number sets were different. Shame. Yeah, frustrating, right? Anyway, what can you do but just crack on with your life? So, got a bit of air from the airbrush, just to kind of get rid of any dusty bits here. Now, unfortunately, I've noticed that there's a cat hair. Welcome to the show. A lot of the dust is actually settled from previous paint jobs, which is annoying because I thought that I'd always looked after it in a dust-free environment. But it just goes to show that, you know, when you leave the room, you know, the paint, though you think is dried, it still has like a tackiness to it, I suppose. So yeah, that's probably gonna allow dust to stick to it and settle on it and things. Bit of a shame, even when you think that the environment that you're in is not a dusty place. Obviously it still is. So, right, I could sit here and give it a bit of a scrub with a brush, can I? That's probably a good idea. Look at me freewheeling around in my new studio. If I just get this brush here, I bought this old brush some years ago in an attempt to do some sort of stylized dry brushing. It's rubbish for it. What it is really good for is giving things a powerful dust down. So I don't know how well you can see. There's a lot of texture sort of here. See all that texture in there? I don't know if you can. It's all dust. And I remember when I painted it that it was all like dust free. Oops, sorry lights. Which is annoying, but it's there now. So maybe I could, like, the end of an evening, just get like a washing bowl, I suppose, and just put it over the top, so that when it's kind of settling down at night, when I'm leaving my work, even after a show, it could just be like just during normal painting time, but it would help obviously stop any kind of dust in the air. If it's kind of got any kind of static, stop it from sort of being drawn towards it. Just an idea, right? I'm actually connected hardline into the router. So I've just noticed there was a little glitch on my laptop there, and I wonder if anybody else experienced that little jump as well. I'm touching wood, hoping that we'll never ever have another internet cutout thing like I've done in the past. That just kind of made me a little bit aware. Excuse me, there goes my voice. I just thought, oh, maybe I should bring that up. Naturally, because the router is right here, and I've got a little extension to a hub going right into it. So yeah, that's cool. So if you just noticed that jump, let us know. I'd like to know. Anyway, let's get on with some airbrushing. I would love to put down a paper sheet, because I do not like spraying onto my workbench directly. There we are. Cool. I am going to go in with the medium colours. Oh no, that's a shadow. I want to go in with base. Bit of base. On the other side, because it was a little bit darker on mostly, I started with the darker colour, but this one's a little bit lighter on this side, so I'm going to go in a bit of base and then darken off if I need to. Unfortunately, when I moved everything around, my paint mixer is somewhere in a cupboard over there. Haven't had time to get it out yet. I was wondering what I've done with it for like the last 2 days. Just sat down to get the show started. I'm like, no, I know where it is. Maybe it's right beside that piece of tooling for the hull of the tank. Anyway, whatever. So I've got to put a little bit of paint in here. Been a little while since I've used this. I'm just going to make sure that all is good. I don't want there to be any kind of crap stuck to the needle, or the needle is a little bit stuck in there as well. Could just do with a little bit of a clean off. Do you know what? Let's do that now. I'm going to do it. You can't stop me. I have none of my cleaning equipment around. I know that somewhere here I've got a little cotton ball. I know I've done top drawer, equipment and cleaning stuff. Boom. Gotcha. So let's just put a bit of knee cleaner in there, and just going to run that over the needle. Kes says butterfly biscuit base. Oh, buttery biscuit base. I don't understand. Buttery biscuit base? I know the song you're referring to. I don't know what I said. Buttery biscuit base. Yeah, I don't know what I said that you're making fun of me for. It's all about the base. You mock me. It's fine. Okay, cool. Right, let's put that over there. I don't need you. There we are. Okay. Do you know, I could just hear the airbrush then. And I didn't know what I was pushing the button, and I thought that there was someone talking to me. That creeped me right out. I'm just pushing a bit of neat cleaner through. on the back of my needle. What would be a show without me cleaning my airbrush, eh? You were talking about bass. Ah, yes, of course. Bass. I get it, yeah. I'm sorry. Clearly I'm an idiot. Yeah. Battery biscuit base. It's all about the base. Acid base, macarena face. If there's any new viewers along this evening, I'm really sorry. It's not normally this disjointed. It's a bit of fun, right? It's just me and Kess ripping each other up again. Okay. There we are. Right, time to get this acid base smack around the face. Okay, I've overused that now. Just going to drop a couple of drops in here. 1, 2, 3. Wicked. Right, here we go. So, sorry Mr. 301, really sorry. This is where, Kesh, you go, no wait, I found another transfer. I'm like, no! Slowly does it. Well, it's going well so far. Losing a bit of that colour combo that I had going on here, but obviously that's to be expected, for sure. Just going to blow a little bit of air over it just to kind of help speed that drying process up. There we go, back in with some colour. Maybe I won't need to do any of the other colours here at all. Maybe I can get away with just kind of expanding this red colour out a little bit. Kess says, I found a transfer, not the one you want though. For a minute there, you know, I did think, maybe, oh no. I don't think I'm going to need any of the other colours, that's okay, I think. That looks alright, doesn't it? I think. I'm just going to neaten up this little corner down here because it looks like it just sticks out a little bit too much. So if I just... There we go. Okay, I mean you can see that was a transfer under there. That's a shame because the next one's going to go over the top of it and it's probably going to stand out a bit more, but saved for sure. I'm really sad about this side. Such a scarring, isn't it? But there we go. Okay, purge. Let's get that colour out. Let's chuck a bit of water through. got my little clamp over there for my airbrush, but actually I don't think that's a great place to have it, so I'm going to move it. Stop embarrassing me on live show. Thank you. Just there, that is way better. Lovely. Cheers, mate. Cool. Just a bit of water, kind of purge that through my pot. One thing that I am quite inspired by recently, I've just been watching some random videos. I was poorly over the last week, and I was just watching random videos on YouTube because fortunately I had the internet, which was lovely. While my partner was out, it was just me and the cat, going a bit mental for a while. And I watched this guy, an American gentleman who I think paints Gundams and Gunplas. I think I've said that right, Gunplas. I could be any more southwest UK if I tried. Gunpla, and then Gundams. I think he does them professionally, or at least very serious about his hobby. And I think that he was very much a lacquer and oil painter, and got into the world of airbrushing acrylics quite recently. And was just sharing some of his very cool tips. And though I've known about the idea of kind of pre-mixing your paint, not pre-mixing, but mixing them out of the hopper, I've known about that before. He was just kind of showing how he does it. And I'm kind of not just intrigued to have a go, but I think I'm kind of convinced that it's definitely the way to do it. I get a lot of like wastage and residue and things up here, and then there's a lot of mixing in the pot, and of course the needle runs linear inside in there, and that creates a barrier to kind of mixing things inside the pot. So mixing them in like a little tin with a spout on the side and then be able to pour them in, much better. There's a little bit of wastage when it comes to cleaning products for sure, but I think it just allows for a much better mix in here. Oh, maybe there's times to do it and not times to not, right? Times to not, a time not to, and a time that you should. Whatever. Right, okay, so let's go to a little bit of shadow and get away from this base. I tried doing a joke there, didn't work. And I'm just going to try and darken that up a little bit. Needs a bit of air blowing on it, just to kind of dry it up a little bit. You drying in? Is it? I think it's dried in there. That's annoying. That's a nuisance. I have a pokey tool here. Pokey tool. Cleared. Lovely. I shouldn't have done that so close to the model actually, because it could have plunged everywhere. There we go. Oh, a little bit of wastage just running down the side of the hopper in there. See? Anyway. So I've got some heavy shadow going down here, but I have like outlined a lot of my camo with this colour. So I'm just going to try and just ever so gently just kind of outline these edges. I'll start down at the bottom so that if I make a mistake I can try and hide it with what I've already got down there. Make sure I'm in frame. Okay. Oh. Went a bit crazy there, didn't I? I got like a dirty needle tip or something. What is going on? Yeah, I have a dirty needle tip. Alright. I'm a little bit out of practice, can you tell? I'm having a bit of a mare. I think I've lost my confidence. Come on. Oh. It's a bit rubbish, isn't it? I have to go back in a minute and neaten up with the other colour again. It's okay, I can blend that away. That is terrible. Right, I'm just going to get rid of that colour again, and I'm going to go back in with the previous colour. And then try and blend that in a little bit better. I seem to have more control over the other one. Could just be me. Right, let's go back to the base then, shall we? Weird. I don't think that paint was mixed very well, which is very likely because it was a bit weird in the lid. That's okay, it's okay. If there's one thing I've managed to do with this build the entire time through is recover it. Soften those edges right down. Okay. Pretty happy there. Just a bit of air, just to kind of blow dry it, I suppose. And I'm just going to come in with a little bit of highlight, just to add a bit of variation to it more than anything. Just push that colour through with a bit of water. There we go. And let's go back over to the light colour. I'm going to give this a really good shake. There's quite a colour difference between the two. I don't know if that really shows up on the camera very well there. This is a much orangier version of that. Yeah, I wonder if that's because it's got gloss on it, and just because it was painted on a different day. Maybe it's because it's got this highlight on it. I don't know. I don't know. Be interesting to see how this goes. Just a couple of drops of that one. Let's give the needle tip a bit of a clean. That seems to be biting me in the backside, as always. So I'm just going to do a little bit of highlight just on the top up here, and just wherever the flow takes me really, but hopefully not too far. Nice. Done. Okay, right, I'm just going to give this bad boy a real clean through, because I think that's where I'm going to leave that part of the painting today. I might give it a quick gloss. I'm going to let it dry for a minute. The reason I gloss it is because a lot of these, what do you want to call them, post-painting effects, putting on decals, putting on weathering effects, pin washing and things like that, they're all better achieved if you put a layer of gloss down, or a couple of layers of gloss down, because it's kind of microscopically ironing out the surface, less dips and troughs, peaks and troughs, and things to stick to. It's what gives paint its grippiness. When you feel matte paint, it's kind of almost a rough feeling, like a really, really fine, like mega fine sandpaper. Gloss is like, you know, glass. So yeah, it's easier for you to get better finishes and better control with a lot of these kind of post-painting effects. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a couple of drops of gloss in, wherever my gloss is. Here it is. And I know after this gloss that I've got to give the airbrush a really good clean, but it probably could do with that anyway. Right. Just make sure that all the cleaner or water is out of there, all of the paint. There's a little bit of gunk left in there, so I'm just going to put a drop of neat cleaner in. Just put the needle into my finger. That wasn't very clever of me. What I was doing is putting my finger over the end, pulling the needle back and then put my finger over it, and then just kind of blasting air gently. It just creates a little bit of backflow in there, just to kind of agitate it in, and I let the needle go right into my fingertip. So the idea is just to get any last little bits of paint out there. I don't want to be like spraying liberally with tainted gloss all over the piece that I've done. Just a bit of water now just to flush that cleaner through. You gets some beautiful effects with airbrush, but it is quite time consuming. Right, here we go. Some gloss. Here we go. Right, so over that, you can see where the shiny bits are. The matte bit is. So one fine coat, almost to the point where you can't see it on there, and then just some air for some seconds. This is one of those little tricks that I picked up. Perhaps I should have put a little link to that gentleman that I watched. Send him a little message saying, "Hey man, look what I'm doing." But he says put like the finest coat on, air for 20 to 30 seconds, another fine coat on, and then air for 20 to 30 seconds, and then a good solid layer, and then another good solid layer, and it works beautifully for him. So yeah, just thought I'd give it a try. So there's my fine coat, and now some more air. The thing is with gloss varnishes, it does take some time to build up a layer where it doesn't look like shiny matte. And varnish isn't paint, right? It's going to behave differently. Like these little droplets that just decide to spatter out. Unfortunately, that paint colour is very different, but hopefully we'll be able to hide it with some decal and take the focus away from it. What I'm also hoping is that the gloss varnish will self-level around that decal, and while it's still visible there, hopefully we'll just do a job to sort of cover it over a little bit more. I've been painting this tank for too long, man. It's time for it to go, right? Ridiculous. Perhaps I'll do another layer over here as well while I got it in the gun. I've just run out. Okay, let's get a bit more in there. Let's do another go. Well, I know this isn't very exciting to watch, but I feel like I'm making progress, so that's good. And we're done. So I'm just going to let that air dry for now, and now I'm going to put a little bit of cleaner through, a little bit of water. I normally have a little bit of premix for that, but I was just doing that before the show and didn't get to finish it. I'll sort that out in a bit. Let's just pop my little needle protector back on. And there we go, there's that. So I've got some other interesting little bits to paint today that I've been looking forward to getting done. I'm a little bit miffed about losing that piece, which I know is here somewhere. We'll go more into that in just a second, and I'll show you things that I've lost and things that I know I can replace. So, just here somewhere. Here we are. A machine gun for the top. Oh, the crowd goes wild. Let's get rid of that piece of paper, because I can do that now. It's wonderful. So yeah, got a machine gun that can sit on the top. I don't know if I'm gonna have the gun on the top. I don't think I'm going to. They weren't commonly on, so you know, less work to do in face of a tank that I've had for a very long time. Some other tools and bits of equipment. I think this is some sort of track link holder. I don't really know the correct term for it, but they're on almost every tank. So that's got to be painted. Some bolt cutters. They're really cool. And I've also got here a shovel. And I'm sure there's a couple of other tools and things as well that are still on the sprue, which I'll go and have a little look at in a minute. I remember getting quite eager, cat hair again, remember getting quite eager and removing them from the sprue and thinking, oh, what are you doing? Because yeah, I'm one of those people. But they're ready to be painted now, so yeah, they can be sort of primed. And then yeah, painting is going to be a bit tricky, so I might like either hold them and do one half at a time. So for here, for example, I could like do this. This is a shovel, so I could do like the shovel end, the blade end, if you wanted to, and then wait for that to be done. Put a bit of varnish on it to protect it, and then do the stave end. Or I could just kind of like blue tack them down on the side that I know that they're going to be glued down on. Feels a bit rough though, doesn't it? I don't know yet. So yeah, during the break, which we'll go to in a minute anyway, I'm going to have a little look at the sprue and see if I've got any other pieces that kind of need attention. I could have, of course, done that when I put the whole thing together. I deliberately didn't, because I wanted to be able to paint under them and around them, and thought it might be quite tricky to do so. Maybe that's where I've gone wrong with a lot of this, and I've just kind of broke it down into too many component parts. That's okay, that's cool if that is the case. This was always about having a go and just learning, and I've done so much learning on this. However, they are supposed to go on like these little bits on the front, so there's one on each side. I don't know where they go, but I've got the instructions still, I hope. Yeah, so there's going to be bits and pieces over here, and there's little tool racks and things down here, and then there's all the little track links and things to go down the side. I'll probably do those last because I find that quite fun. Yeah, but there's that little piece that was missing, and the idea is that there is this that gets wrapped around it as cordage, like rope. Well, I can't do this until I have that piece, and I know it's in the house. It's not like I've lost it in the carpet and it's been hoovered or anything like that. I deliberately remember picking it up and depositing it somewhere, and I haven't got a clue where that is. So we can't do that today. A little bit of research into what this is. This is a block that is used for maintenance and repairs, used for holding things in place, for wedging things, knocking things around with. Here's me talking like I know exactly what it's for, but it is, yeah, I think every German tank had them, and they're quite prominent on Tigers as well. But I've seen those painted in all sorts of different colours. Typically they're painted black, so I could do that black, but it might look a bit rubbish, so I might paint it wood colour. But can I do a convincing wood colour? It's quite a large surface area to be done, isn't it? But there's metal frame, and it has got a little bit of wood texture to it, fractionally. Yeah, so I could do that wood grain effect perhaps. I'm not very good at painting wood, so that's something to do. But the actual frame that it's kind of held in place with is actually a part of the tank's hull. So I've left it deliberately that sort of colour, and I'm going to basically just kind of fill the gaps in. Yeah, fill the gaps in. And that should be that really. So I could do it black, or maybe I'll do it wood grain. And then there's some other bits and pieces. There is, I don't know where it's supposed to go off the top of my head though, there is like a big tow rope which kind of gets wrapped around on it as well. I thought last time we all met that was the tow rope, but it's not the tow rope, it's a plastic injected molded piece anyway. However, we're getting quite close to having a break time, so while I'm going to have a little route around here in the studio, let's consider moving. Let's consider moving to a break. Now, after the break, something I haven't done for such a long time is Community Spotlight. Community Spotlight. It wasn't anything particularly planned. It was just I was cruising around on Facebook earlier on today, just, as you do. And I happened to see some of the most stunning art I've seen in such a long time. I know there's so much of it out there, but this one thing just stood out in my mind. I just started talking to the gentleman on Facebook, and I was like, do you know what? I would really like to be able to show it off on my show. Just let you go for it, absolutely. So when we come back from the break, we'll have a little look at this gentleman's work, and I'm going to give him a shout out as well because he actually provides a service, which is actually quite exciting. But more on that when we come back for a break. Let's just see if I remember what buttons to push because it all feels a little bit foggy. But yeah, I'm going to go for a break now in about 10 minutes. And there's going to be some jazz music playing, and in that time, you should definitely go and change your paint water. Do it. Go on. And I'm back. I didn't have to go change my paint water. Didn't have to use it. Might do it in a minute though, because I'm looking at some of the projects that I need to get on with, and I'm moving over to brushes. And I found in the cupboard over there, which I had to duck into under the eaves into the cave that is this attic, I found a few other bits and pieces. So maybe some of my lost artifacts are in some boxes in there, which would be quite exciting. Anyway, hope you had a good break. Let's just take a minute to admire the work of Graham Henderson, who is a gentleman who I saw on Facebook earlier on. I was talking about just before we left for the intermission, because you're gonna love his stuff. I've just got to remember how to get there because it's been such a long time. Here we go. Enjoy. So, I saw this image on Facebook earlier on, and it absolutely blew me away. This is very, very much a work in progress. Graham has assured me and the Facebook community on the Facebook group Warhammer 40k Terrain and More, and it's basically dedicated to the grim, dark style of scenics. And what he seems to have done very clearly is this forgotten dreadnought. It's the newer style dreadnought. It's the new Primera style dreadnought, which is a beast of a miniature anyway. But he said he just wanted to have it look like it was a forgotten relic that has been just kind of left behind. Maybe it was destroyed. Maybe something happened to it. It's just been kind of left there. And if you just take a minute to appreciate the work that's gone into it and the concept translated it physically, it's just absolutely fantastic. And I just couldn't get over it. It's got like, if you look very, very carefully, it's got the old colour schemes kind of fading away, and that burnished, rusty kind of steel effect is kind of coming through. And there's a couple of scratches that just kind of give a hint at its metallic underside in there as well. And then, of course, what really sets it apart is I've never seen it done before. Not to say it hasn't been, but I've just never seen it. Is that grass or moss just kind of building up on the top? And I thought it was just absolutely phenomenal, and it just, I think, deserved to be brought up here on tonight's show. There were only two pictures of it. There was this photo here and a zoomed in photo, and it's just phenomenal. Just wanting to kind of touch base with Graham. I just kind of wanted to talk to him about it, just be like, hey man, this is fantastic, well done. We got talking about it, and I just kind of wanted to say, that for me, if I was to do anything with it, I would want to add a drop of filigree onto the golden eagle that's on there. Is it filigree? Verdigris, beg your pardon, verdigris, which is obviously when it tarnishes and it kind of would go maybe a greeny colour, like if it's copper perhaps. And I don't think I actually mentioned that. That was something that I was keeping for the conversation. But what I did go on to say was that maybe like a little bit of soil, like around or underneath the grass. And he assured me that these are all ideas that he's got planned for it, because it literally only just kind of started working on the sort of mossy effects on it. I just think it's phenomenal. And there's a story to tell in there, isn't there? There's that's, if you think back ages and ages ago, episodes ago, that I've always talked about with bases and with sceneries and things like that. Tell a story with your model, because it makes it more exciting. And I think that I said to Graham, imagine a poor dude inside. It was like, oh yeah, Mr. Tricker could have had him like exposed and slumped over the controls. I was like, yeah, that would have been really cool, but not to take away from how fantastic a concept and how well executed that idea is. So I had a quick chat with Graham. I was like, do you mind if I put this up? And he was like, absolutely not. Just please mention wet palette of miniatures. So here you are, Graham. If you're not watching right now, which I don't think you are, but if you are watching this back a little later on, thanks ever so much for allowing me to just put a quick couple of photos up. I haven't done a community spotlight for such a long time. Thanks for allowing me to put them up here and to mention your name. And I hope that you like... Go back and watch other episodes. I hope you like what we do here. We've got quite a following. It's a little bit out of the ordinary circumstances this evening. And Graham has said that in the future, moving forwards into next year, that he would like to make a little collaboration, which I'm really excited about. So we'll see what happens. Watch this space. Maybe something will happen, maybe something won't. But kudos, Graham. That's absolutely fantastic miniature. If you are interested in seeing any more of Graham's work, if you head down below the description description of this video. It is in the description, because I can never get the comments or the description, in the right order. I've put a little link down there to his Facebook page, where you can go and have a look at the miniatures that he's painted, his portfolio, so to speak, and you can also chat with him about the service of painting that he provides, because he is a service painter provider. I just made that sentence up. I don't know if that actually makes any sense, but you know what I mean. He paints your stuff for you if you want. When he was talking to some other people, get that off my shirt. When he was talking to some other people on that same thread, he also posted some inspiration for the effects that he's done, and I thought that they might be worth including in here just for prosperity. Obviously, this is a piece of real metallics painted with that kind of fantastic blue turquoise colour, but you can obviously see the image and why he's used it. The rust kind of colours. I really like rust that goes from really dark browns right to really bright oranges, and I've got that on some other pieces that I've done before when I was kind of toying with sort of rust techniques in the past. They're really, really easy to achieve, really simple to achieve, and I like the way that you can kind of contrast that with colours, and rather than just being like, oh, there's an orange scheme and a blue scheme, you can actually have there's two different effects. There's actually wear and tear in the paint scheme. Maybe I'm just blabbering, but it makes a lot of sense to me. Here's a picture of a car where you can see that probably plays a bit more into the dark blues of his colour scheme for that particular dreadnought, but also this is just kind of like wear and tear on the edge. This is more like just sort of, I think probably maybe like sand corrosion. I get the idea this might be an arid environment. I don't know why I'm getting that. I just am, but you're kind of getting a lot of edge, and you get a lot just kind of grimy runoff on there, which is also easy to achieve using grime techniques, which we've done before on the show. Hopefully, we'll do a little bit of it with this tank. And then the last one he did was this really dark burnished, probably iron by the looks of it, with some rivets in there, and just a little bit of kind of patina with some of the brighter oranges in there. Fascinating work. I loved it. One last look at that dreadnought, because it is beautiful. Well done, Graham, and thank you very much. And all the best with Wet Palette Miniatures. Right, let's get back to it. There's the button that lets me do that. I'm back in the room. Cool. So I went into some of the storage rooms that I've got right beside me here, and I found a whole bunch of sprues that I've got left over. And there's loads of tools and stuff on here. I was thinking, I hope I haven't thrown everything out, because I also had the instructions for the tank, which I thought, I've got a false memory of throwing them away, and I hope they're not false. I hope they are false memories. They are, thank God, because it tells me where they all go. There's a little box of bits and pieces down here, and I thought that was probably where I might have thrown that spare piece, and it was not, unfortunately. So I've got the paint things on here, which is a bit pointless for me really, because I'm not following those instructions, but on here it does have all the different tools, where they all go, which is the most key thing for me really, because I need to know where everything is supposed to be. But rather than get stuck into that this evening, what I'm going to have a go at is painting by brush that little block of wood. I'm going to try and do a wood colour effect on it, and if it all goes wrong, then I can paint it black. And if I do paint it black, I'll probably give it a light glossing, because I think that if it was going to be painted black in World War II, it probably would be done with black gloss. Yeah? Cool. Let's head on over to the workbench and go and see what we've got going on down here. Back again. Here we are. So, just going to enlarge my screen so I can see what I'm focusing on. Here we are. Cool. So yeah, there's that missing piece right there. I'm going to give it all a good dusting down. Dusting. I remember when I first started painting this, I was so chuffed and proud of it, and I'm actually starting to not like it anymore. There's a lot that's gone wrong with it, there's a lot that's putting me off, and I'm trying to not focus on that, because that's the sort of attitude that gets you to put models away and not pick them up again, and I don't want to be there. I just want it finished, I want it to look nice, and I'm sure it will when I'm done. So this block just on the side here, let's move these little tools and things away. Turret's all dry, that's come out nice. Look, smooth. Anyway, cool. So I've got to basically choose some colours. I've got my big cardboard box of paints down here, and unfortunately they collected a lot of dust just because they used to sit on the floor of the old studio. One of the things that I want to do with this studio is on the wall that is in front of me, it's big open space, and I'd like to get a rack of paints up there. I think it'll be really good. I spoke to my partner about it. I was like, hey, do you think I could do this? She's like, yeah, go for it. So that's going to be cool. Now, I think that there are probably some skin colours that are going to be quite good for painting wood colour, but I'm thinking about maybe going with sort of a bone colour and then doing some sort of skin tone fleshy wash sort of thing over the top, and then maybe just doing some, like, I don't know, some what would you call it? Do you know, like when you're looking at a square, for example, and you get like a browny sort of, is it a vignette, when it's sort of there's this artificial shading around the outside? I don't know what I'm talking about. But maybe you get the idea of what's in my head. I have tried to paint wood in the past, very, very small amounts of it, and it worked, and it was on a 28mm Sherman where it has like a pickaxe or something like that on the back of it, but it was obviously much smaller. So I've got bone white here, which is the Game Air range, which may work. So I'm going to give it a couple of light coats of this. Now, typically, I prefer to use the Citadel version, which is Skull White, or something, not Skull White. I've used it so many times in the past. I've used it on my Tyranids, which are just in front of me over here as well. I think I like the texture of it a bit more. I don't think it's necessarily the colour that I prefer. So yeah, I'm going to give this one a go. Now, because all my palettes are all over the place at the moment, I've just got some other random surfaces to use to put my paint dropper on. So here's an upside down pie container thing, which I'm just going to use here. Actually has some crumbs left in it. Whoops, that's bad. These are from last year. Save your pie tins. Sometimes they're handy for mixing things in, especially if they're like single use. You're going to throw them out anyway. I'm going to give this a really good mix. I pulled my mixer machine out, but if you remember, do you remember a little while ago I told you it's got like the shortest lead in the world? I've got to try and find a place where it's not too hard for me to reach to kind of give it a zhuzhing. So yeah, zhuzhing. Oh, I just punched myself in the head. Okay, cool. What I might do is mix it with a bit of flow improver. I don't know if I'm going to need to do that, because this is actually an airbrush paint, so it's probably quite runny. Yeah. Let's see where we go. Find me my brush. I am going to use, just because I'm doing a bit of brushwork really, I'm going to use my Raphael brush. Last time I did a show, I knew that it was going to be the last one for a while, so I put some repair gel on it, which is just needs a little bit of washing out. Oh, that's a bit greasy. Oh, that's slimy. Weird. There we go. Right. I thought that if I should start with the lighter colours, then I can just, if it all goes wrong, I could just go back again, right? That's my plan. That is my plan. So, here we go then. So, my plan is to absolutely not get it on the frame. I might knock a bit of flow improver in there just because I want it to go on so thin that it doesn't interfere with the very, very barely noticeable wood texture underneath it. Because when I put a wash on it later on, I really want it to run in there into all those little creases, which, if I'm honest, I've not really ever noticed until now. That's how slight they are. So I'm going to pop a little bit of flow improver. Do you know what, even just a little bit of water. Let's just do that. Just a smidgen. I don't really like adding water to airbrush paints because they become so thin. So you're not doing your too thin coats anymore, you're doing like 16, and especially when you've got like a pale colour like this. But it might make all the difference. Desperately trying to not lean on it because I keep knocking bits off of it, it's embarrassing. And of course, if this colour really works, if this is what I want, how I want to achieve my wood effect, I will do all the tool handles like it as well. Now, back when I did those 28mm tanks with the tools on, I did a lot of research into it because I just wanted to know what colour to do. I was having a bit of a panic at the time, and there are some guys online who really helpful actually, and they were like, just paint them the same colour as the actual tank, and yeah, generally, not always, and not like most of the time, but a good portion of them were just the tools handles were painted the same camouflage because you wanted it all to be camouflaged, and often they were put on the tank and it was all painted together anyway. But there was also a good portion of them where it was all brand new wood. So I like to do it where they're painted wood because it just adds another element of the kind of visual interest. And in the world of painting models, it might look like a cheap shot, do you know? It looks like, oh, he didn't know how to paint that, or he couldn't paint that, so he's just done it all the same colour. So I try to avoid things like that. It's a very personal thing, that is, but yeah. Gone a bit heavy there, so I'm just going to water it down, just kind of shift it around a little bit. That's working, that's good. Quite enjoying just moving this paint around. Just a little bit of water, just actually very faint blending, which I'm really looking forward to finishing some projects because I really want to get onto a skin tone project just to really pick up my game. I feel like I haven't developed much recently, so I would really like to do like a skin tone project and really put everything I've got into it, and that's just all going to be brushwork mostly, I think, just to kind of really push my boundaries. And I was talking to Luke about that a little while ago. Hi Luke, if you're watching this back later. And that is actually a project that we're going to do together online on the show. So that is really exciting because we've not done anything like that before. And if you are interested in joining Luke and I, and maybe you want to paint the same model that we're looking at doing, drop us a line. If you ever want to talk about anything in the show, then of course you can always drop a message in the comment section below. I read every comment and reply to every single one. Hi John Takax, by the way, who messaged in the last video, and actually on Facebook recently as well. Hi man. If you want to get involved, let us know. Or if you're watching live, here's some live chat, because maybe you want to. If not, it's fun. Okay, this is going well. I just realised I'm not actually in shot there, sorry. Just need to bring a light in a bit closer. There we go, that's better. I love working with the airbrush, but sometimes I really do Really do enjoy working with the brush. I can just see the wood grain effect kind of showing through now. Just as I'm painting, I can see this watered down colour kind of running into them, and I'm really hopeful that the wash picks it up. Otherwise, it will look rubbish. But it's amazing how just a few weeks away from any of this has left me really quite out of practice. I'm really quite shocked, actually. And it's not because I didn't want to. There's just been so much going on, you know. We've essentially moved house with, you know, my friend moving out and having to kind of, you know, we took the opportunity to decorate the house in the way that we wanted to, not with like paint or anything like that, but just by kind of furnishings. And I bought a few paintings and things, which was really nice, you know, and just to, if anything, it was actually just to kind of help not feel the loss of our housemate. Not lost like he died or anything, that's savage, but you know, he's been here for such a long time. It's quite different without friends around. And not the first friend to have moved out, not the first time that we've moved things around, but this is a very different sort of change. And yeah, so we've just been kind of getting things, house life, you know, sorted out. So yeah, it's a very different vibe in the house now. I had lots of friends over and things, which has been lovely, and some meals and things. And obviously it's taken all the time and focus away from running the show and actually even having some hobby time. And really, there's been no space to do it in. And when there was space and there was time, I felt really poorly. Just at the beginning of this last week, I felt like I've been hit by a bus. It was absolutely awful. I started to feel a little bit rubbish in the evening. I was supposed to have some friends coming over to play some games in the evenings that we always do on a Monday. And I just had to call it off. And I was like, I'm not feeling right. And that progressively got worse and worse as the evening went on. I felt awful. Sore throat, headaches, tiredness, lost all my appetite for days, and I thought this is like all the more obscure sort of symptoms that you would get with COVID. I didn't have the cough, and I didn't have, and then basically in the evening I got a fever and the chills and things. I was like, right, that's it, I'm gonna get a PCR test, and I had the results back within 24 hours. They were really quick. I don't have COVID, and today, though I'm a little bit low on the energy, I think that's mostly because I haven't really been out and about. I'm 100% again, which is good, because right before Christmas that was going to change everything. And my partner went out and stocked up everything in the cupboards just in case we had to spend Christmas at home, because we're going for Christmas at our families. So yeah, that was an adventure. So yeah, I haven't done any painting since the last show, which I think was the 26th of November. It's a long time ago. Yeah, big changes. I was quite upset about not being able to run shows in those times, but these big changes, they have big effects, and you have to respect them and give them the time that they need. And to my friend Mark, who moved out with his partner Seren, all the best to you, fella. Happy Christmas and a very happy New Year. Making a life for themselves, not too far away, but far enough away that we don't get to see them very often. A new adventure. They're getting married next year and stuff, so yeah. it's just so therapeutic. I love this. I love just moving paint around. So this is the reason why I wanted to do the tools, the sort of the woodcutter, is because that now has this visual attraction to it. It kind of brings your eyes straight into here, and I know it looks quite patchy at the moment. Maybe it doesn't show up patchy on the camera, I don't really know, but this is, yeah, this. There's going to be other things on here. There's going to be black track links at the back. There's going to be a couple of tools and a big steel cable going across it, and I'm hoping that it's just going to kind of break up the, I suppose, monotony of the camouflage colours. So yeah, that's fun. The piece that I'm missing, that I know that I'm missing, is the gun in here. It wasn't actually ever glued in properly. I don't think that the glue had ever made contact with two pieces of plastic, which is a shame. I dropped it and it bounced somewhere on the table, and then it must have gone on the floor, and we searched and searched and searched. The old studio is a very small room and just can't find it anywhere, so I have to basically make a new MG34, I think is the gun, just have the barrel poking out the end. There's lots of MG34 models lying around in here somewhere, I'm sure, in the right scale, so it's just a case of cutting it down, making sure that it fits in, and yeah, painting it black. I could, of course, use the MG34 that is mounted on the top. Oh, a cat hair, of course, but it has a different muzzle on there, so that poses issues, but it is an option. Right, so I'm gonna just again, do you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna blow a little bit of air through that airbrush to help dry that down. Oh, I'm a clever soul, aren't I? So in the live chat, there's I don't know what that is. It'd be Sonny from .ong. If that's a link, don't touch it. If it's words, I don't know what that means. Sorry, man. Hi, welcome to the show. Share a bit of love. That's never happened before. Okay, here we go. Let's go in with another layer. Okay, I'm going to keep it super thin. I'm going to add more water than I'm comfortable with. In a way, this is kind of like playing with contrast paints, because I've added so much water. When I move it around, I get this like little pool or this little beading effect, and I don't want that, because if I leave that, that's going to give me this horrible kind of coffee ring, or sort of tea ring staining thing, and a big blob. So you have to kind of constantly manipulate it. And what I'm trying to do is just trying to push that paint from the block of the edge of the block of wood right up to the hull. Where the two pieces are, they're not perfectly touching when I glue them, so it kind of gives me this cheating edge to paint to. There we go. Now I can just move those little droplets, those little beads of paint around. Probably do need to add a bit more paint into there. It's probably a little bit on the thin side, it's not really doing anything. Take your time, Danny, take your time. Take your time. Nice. Oh, I finally did it. I finally touched the very slight edge of the frame that I didn't want to touch. I wonder, with a cleaned, wet bristle. I wipe it away. Oh, I can. I fix everything. Okay, good. Yay. So, alright, I'm going to give that a bit more air. And while I do that, I'm going to drink some more wine, because it's Christmas. Lovely. It's going really well. Right, maybe one more coat of that colour in the same way. And I might be able to move on to adding some sort of wood grain colours. Don't really know what colours to use, so I'm just gonna push go and see what happens. Make sure I'm in shot again. Lovely. Going well. It's going well. Last little bit. I wonder, should I do another one? Maybe I will, just because I'm enjoying it more than anything. But I know that I'm spending a lot of time painting just one tiny piece. That looks pretty smart. That's a job well done. I have deliberately not painted the back or the front sides of them because I think that it's like a cage that kind of locks around it, and that's a strap. I think I could spend loads of time putting loads of research into that, but if that was like a metal brace that broke, you'd put probably a leather strap on it, right? So it doesn't really matter if I do that. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know. What would you do, Kez? Would love to know. Should I just leave it all kind of like hull coloured? Or shall I play with different colours? I think I just want to kind of crack on, really. So behind, so behind. So let's have a look at other colours and things that I've got here. I want to be looking at washes. They're all in boxes at the moment, which is making life pretty difficult. I've got here a sepia colour. That's a good go-to, isn't it? What else have I got? Contrast paints aren't really what I want. Not at all. So what I'll look down here. Because I've got an Agrax, and I think an Agrax would go down very well. Just got to find it. That's a violet. I don't want a violet. That's a Crimson Carabag. I'm sure that would look weird. A Nuln Oil. Well, you never know. I'll hold that one to the side. Let's just chuck all these paints over here. What is this? Gotcha! There we go. My two favourites. Probably leave it is, Kez. Right, okay, sure. Do you know what? I'm inclined to follow that. I'm gonna start with a bit of Seraphim, because start lighter and build up dark, and we know that Seraphim is the lighter of the two browns. It's a much warmer colour as well. I'm hoping it's going to give it a really good sort of wood grain effect. If I haven't painted on too thickly. Find out, I suppose. If anything, it should just sort of alter the colour of it. Give it a filter, so to speak. A bit of air, just to dry it down a little bit. Okay, just a little. Danny, just a little. Now I'm going to use my little silver palette here just to help me control the amount that I've got, because I don't want to be going mental. The bristles of this brush do hold quite a bit. If it all goes wrong, of course I can just go back, but I don't want to keep on adding layers of paint, layers of paint. Okay, this is actually not enough. It's actually quite a bright stain colour. So it might take a little bit of coverage to help filter that down to an appropriate sort of colour. But yeah, it looks a bit more wood-like now. Maybe with a little bit of Agrax going on as well, it will really help the colour on there too. Got a lot of tea staining going on here, so I'm just going to go in with a slightly wet brush now and just try to collect those blobs up and move them around and add a bit of water into it. It should help it flow a little bit more. That's a bit better, isn't it? Yeah. Look at those big blobs there. Don't want them. Say no to blobs. If Leslie were watching this live right now, we'd have something to say about me talking about saying no to blobs. I did actually get a really nice Merry Christmas message from Leslie. So Leslie, if you do get to watch this back later on, Merry Christmas and thank you very much. Leslie was saying that because he's a musician and has been recording work lately, that he's actually put some sort of proto tracks together for the show. So maybe we'll have some sort of new intro music or filler music or sting music or whatever. We'll see what happens. Very excited. Because yeah, there's a lot on this show that could really benefit from a revamp. I could be good for a start. That would help, wouldn't it? I wouldn't pay a penny, even if it was just a penny, to suddenly be really good at this, because I think it's really important to know progress. I think it's really important that, because then you get a payoff, right? Yeah, for sure, your models look great, and that would be cool. But I'd much prefer to know that I got good because of the hard work that I put into it. And that's so important for the people out there like me who aren't that good to see this program, this show, and to be like, oh, I'm not alone. It's what I needed years ago. That's why I do it. So if you're watching this show and you're not all that good, it doesn't matter, man. Booyah. Okay, that's a little bit of sepia. I think if I go too far with that, it would be the wrong colour. So I'm just going to leave it like that. There's a couple of little like stains and sort of artifacting that are accidental, but I quite like the fact that they're random. So I'm just going to wash that out with my brush and put sepia away. I'm just going to come in and hit it with a bit of air just to help speed up that drying process. And then I'm going to come in with a bit of bag rack, so I'm going to do it all over again. Unfortunately, it's not really picking up that wood grain colour so well, so I'm sort of relying really on a bit of a filtering from these washes. Bit of a shake on the old agrax, and let's pop that lid. Here we go. I don't really know how I'm going to apply this. I'm just going to again push go, see what happens. Maybe if I just start around the outsides. Oh no, I'm just going to go over it like a whole filter all the way. Okay. That looks quite nice, actually. That's filling in a lot of the blanks. Like some little tiny white flecks of undercolour that I'd missed, perhaps. Dulling the whole affair right down, and of course later on when I go over with grime effects I can do even more. I just want to get that sort of dirty but bright coloured wood. It's quite nice actually having the two halves of it, because I can compare and measure and see how they're, you know, how one colour affects. I don't mind having lines, streaky lines, but I don't like it when it leaves those blobs. It's interesting because this Agrax colour is almost oily in colour on this white. Again, I'm just going to make sure that I keep on washing my brush out, drying it off, so that I can use the absorbency of the bristles here to lift these blobby patches of paint. And I am cheating a little bit and using the streaks of the bristles through the colours to achieve a wood grain effect, but I think that might look a little bit rubbish, so I'm going to try and avoid doing that. As tempting as it is, I think I'm not going to do it. Right, let's just consider where we are in terms of timing. We're getting quite close to the end of the show, so just to give you a little bit of a heads up, we're getting close to the end of the show, alright? Ooh. Stay within the lines, Danny. Stay within frame. That'd be helpful. It's like learning all over again, being in this new studio. I'm in danger of ruining this wood effect if I'm not careful, so trying to get to a point where I like it and then just learn to walk away. Yeah, it's easy to mess it up. Oh, that's terrible. Coming back with a little bit of leftover sepia there. So we'll patch that in a little bit. I think it's all getting a little bit wet in there. Yeah, ruined that a little bit, haven't I? Okay, it's alright, we can go back to that, that's fine. Probably achieve quite a lot of that with the grime effects later on. Chris, welcome to the show, Chris. Well, I am late. No, you're just early for next week, mate. Nice to see you, Chris. Thanks for coming along. Always happy to see you. For the entire show, it's pretty much just been Kaz and I. There was another person right at the beginning, and then someone just about 20 minutes ago who typed in something weird in the chat. If it's a link, don't touch it. How are you, Chris? I hope that you're doing well. It has been a while since we last spoke. You okay? Yep, I am well. Good. I'm glad to hear it, man. As I was saying just earlier on in the show, I will be on the After 8 Easy Party. After 8 Easy Party? After 8 Party? It's been a while since I've done this. I'm a little out of sync. I'm going to be on the Discord after the show for a short period of time just to say hi to you guys or whatever. So if you fancy coming and having a proper chat outside of the live chat, I will be there. And for those of you that are watching it back later on, Chris is one of our regular Discorders. Thanks, Chris. Well, I'm actually, despite there being a little bit of a hash up there, I'm actually not too displeased with the way that wood effects come out. It's a little bit rubbishy. But I reckon with some grime effects and weathering later on, I reckon that's going to look pretty good actually. Just hoping I'm still in shot. Cool. And you know what? I'm going to come back in with a tiny dry brushing of that original white colour just to set it off against itself. I think what I did is I played with it a bit too much, trying to be a bit too fancy. That's okay, lesson learned. It doesn't look horrendous, and I know that later on it will look even better. So let's wash the brush out. Splash water everywhere. Smooth, Danny, smooth. Yeah, see, that's what I keep on doing, is I keep on leaving like little patches and stuff on it. Never mind. Adds to the flavour. Dry it, Danny, dry it. Oh, I'd love to. There we go. Feels nice to be doing something different other than camouflage, because that's all I've been doing on this thing for ages. I've been doing nothing but this tank for a while now. Right, let's come back in with a little bit of that bone white. My paintbrush is rolling away. There's a slight tilt on the table in here. What's this? Oh, it doesn't do it now. Cheers then. Yeah. Right, I'm going to need to find a brush that can just give me a slight dry brushing. I do not want to use my expensive brush here, and I don't have that many out at the moment, so I'm actually going to use my rubbish brush I use for airbrush mixing and cleaning and things. So I'm just going to put just a tiny amount just there. I'm just going to brush crazy. I don't actually have anything to wipe it on. Do I? Yes, I do. Ugh. Those Tamiya paint instructions. Okay, let's put you to a side, and all I want to do is just want to kind of bring some of the edges back in a little bit. I don't even know if it was the right move, but again, I can grime it back up later on if I need to. That has actually helped bring out some of the wood grain effects in there, which are probably not coming up on the camera at all. Actually very difficult for me to even see with my eye, so it probably was a bit of a shot in the dark that they were going to come out quite well. Anyway, it's a piece that kind of stands out a little bit from the rest of the colour scheme on the tank, and that's what I'm really hoping with all of the tools, be it a shovel. I'll have a little look, shall we, what we've got here. So it's really exciting spruce, to be fair, if you find screws exciting. So I got a dude, he's cool. There's a couple of dudes. There's this guy who I think is supposed to be sitting on the side of the tank or sitting inside the tank, perhaps a driver. There's the commander who stands in the hatch. He has like binoculars all down here, very cool. I decided not to put a tank crew in there, I just wanted to paint the tank, if you remember back some. Just a couple of spare bits and pieces, engine things. There's a couple of repeats in here. There's another one of those track grips. Then I got an empty sprue. Yeah, fantastic. Let's put that down there with all that stuff. Spare tracks, which are going to go on the back pieces here, all the way along. Loads of it there, so they're all going to be done up. I don't know, I think I want to do them really dark rust over black, because they would have been painted black and they would have been barely touched, but with a little bit of use, a little bit of wear and tear, you might have a little bit of kind of rust effects, where sort of wet wear effects coming through on them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting those on there. They're going to be a nice colour, stark contrast of the rest of the colours, be really cool. And then over here I've got the tow cable, which is quite long. This little device here is the I don't know what it's actually called, but it's the winder that they put it in the back where they can, the crank, I suppose it is a crank, right? Yeah, where they crank the engine up. I think it looks like an air filter that's not good. Oh, that is actually the aerial port for the commander hatch. If you had like a commander hatch, I think it's like a little airport, or even maybe an air filter. But on this one, there's an aerial here, which I'll talk about just a second. Got another tow cable. I don't know if this one has two tow cables, maybe it does. We got a spike, and we've got a sledgehammer, and there is an axe somewhere that I've probably overlooked, and it's probably on one of the other ones, or have I gone past? Is it on here? There's an axe as well, so there's loads of gear to be putting on this thing. I've obviously got the shovel, which we looked at earlier on here. I've got the bolt cutters as well, and the other track clip. So yeah, loads of stuff to go on there. It's going to look quite exciting when it all goes on. The aerial, then, they don't actually supply an aerial because it's just a big whippy piece of plastic, I suppose. So what they do is they teach you in the instructions to melt the plastic down, and it does say that there's a little symbol on the sprues to look for, because what you got to do is basically hold the sprue over a candle flame and then stretch the pieces apart, and then once that's kind of re-solidified, snip it, get the right diameter at the end, get a length that you're happy with, and then you've got this curly sort of aerial. But what you got to look for is on the back of the sprue there's this little tab up here, and it will say on one side what sprue this is C, and then on this side here it says PS, which stands for polystyrene, which means that this is the safer one to melt. All the others will basically release poisonous chemicals. None of it's good to breathe in, so yeah, make sure it's ventilated when you're doing it. But if you are going to do that, make sure that your sprue plastic is safe, and don't just be one of those cowboys who goes, oh yeah, but I'll be alright, or you know, my lungs have taken worse anyway because I smoke or whatever. Don't do it, man. Make sure that you're melting the right sort of plastic, and make sure that you're doing a ventilated area, and don't do it around your fluffy cat like, you know, I might. Yeah, loads of stuff on here. I love all the little bits and pieces, but it just adds to the extra stuff that I've got to do. Anyway, let's move away from here because it's time to go and have a Christmas break, right? We're gonna just come back, everyone says. Okay, where are we? I've got to find all the buttons again, man. Nope, that is the wrong button. Here we go. Have I got it? Yeah! It's been a really weird evening coming back into this like half-built studio and playing around with a tank that I haven't done anything with for weeks, and I'm totally out of touch with practice. It's crazy. Got the creaky chair, which isn't going to creak now. There it is. Yeah, I feel a little disconnected. Oh well. It's been brilliant to get back into it though, and I'm really happy that I've got, by the end of it, a couple of people coming along to watch live. So thanks guys, it's been really comforting having you here along with me. I am going to be back on next week. I know it's New Year's Eve. I don't know if I'm going to be on the Thursday or the Friday, so maybe if you've got an opinion as to whether you want it on the Thursday or on the Friday, New Year's Eve, maybe drop it in the comments section just down there. If you liked this show or you didn't like it, hit me up with some roasting or with some nice things down there, also in the comment section, or you can just find us over on Discord or over on Facebook, and I'm constantly roaming through those platforms, so do come and have a little chat and let us know what you think. Thursday, Friday, did you like it, did you not? Yeah, that'd be great. Also I have to have a chat with my partner as well, because you know, our house to ourselves, maybe we'll have friends over, who knows what's going to happen, but it is New Year's Eve, so you know, I don't want to stand in the way of our plans, your plans, whatever. So you let me know what you think. I'll have a chat over this end here and see whether I'm going to do it, but I do want to have a presence here again next week, and little bit by little bit, week on week on, I'm going to start tidying up this new studio, getting everything the way that I want it to be, the way it should be, and just look to improve things. And next week we will talk about setting some New Year's resolutions, though I don't really believe in them, but maybe it'll be really helpful when you've got stacks and stacks of models that you can't see just out of shot over here. In fact, do you know what? If I get enough likes on this video, let's get 15 likes on this video here on YouTube, and I will give you an extra video content live. I'll give you a grand tour of the studio, and I'll show you all of the stuff that I've got lined up over there and all of the miniatures that I've got to work through. Oh my god, it's a lot. Anyway, look, it's been really good to get back to the table, so thanks for coming along and being a part of it. If you're watching it back later on, give us a thumbs up anyway, right? Cheers, that would be great. So yeah, that's it for me, really. I hope you guys have yourselves an absolutely wonderful Christmas. If you're not going to be here next week, have yourselves a fantastic New Year. Start it strong. 2021 and 2020, they can do one, although this year has been better, right, than the last one. So from me to you, have a wicked time tomorrow. Merry Christmas and my love to all of you and all of those with you, and until next week, you stay safe, keep smiling, be kind, keep on painting, and I'll see you next time. Cheers now, bye bye. Presents! I love presents.